While most people can only fuse with one monster, he on the other hand can fuse with as many as 9.99 million monsters. The first monster he fused with was none other than the legendary Emperor Demon Rare with a royal bloodline. Despite awakening such a powerful gift, he was still mocked by everyone as a useless failure simply because the world's evaluation system was too primitive. It couldn't even begin to measure his immense potential. At that moment, his consciousness arrived in this new world, and he snapped his eyes open. Still trying to get a grasp on his surroundings, a strange message suddenly popped into his mind. It turned out this world was called Blue Star, a land of martial prowess, a world that is frequently invaded by monstrous beasts through mysterious portals. These terrifying beasts have already destroyed several nations. By injecting the beast gene, you can unlock your potential and become a powerful warrior. This is the only way to save human civilization. And so, Bluest Star entered an era where martial power reigns supreme. The protagonist, Ehai, a young man who traveled here from another world, is now a warrior prep student preparing for his final exams. He lost both of his parents in an accident during his sophomore year, which shattered his motivation to study and train, leaving him at the bottom of his class. As he wondered what to do next, the teacher with a confident stride stepped up to the podium and said, "All right everyone, are you ready? We're about to start the gene modification injections. Remember, everything you've worked for over the past 3 years, building strength and cultivating martial energy, is for this moment," the teacher then added with a pointed look. As for those who haven't taken things seriously, he couldn't help but think, "This is ridiculous. I've been putting in the work. Why should I feel guilty? But since I've taken over the original owner's responsibilities, it's time to clean up his mess." The teacher then led the class to the gene injection hall, where several metal boxes were neatly arranged on a table. Inside these boxes were the gene awakening serums, which contain the raw genetic data from all the monsters. After injection, one of the monster genes will be activated. Generally, the stronger the physique, the stronger the monster gene that awakens. The teacher gently reminded, "Don't be nervous after the injection. Remain calm and accept the power. When I call your name, please come up and collect your serum." Chinangf Miao Yuna. One by one, the students in the class began to receive their injections. After the injections, their skin began to steam, and everyone screamed in agony for the intense pain. He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly shut his eyes and plunged the needle into his body. However, after waiting for what felt like forever, he realized that there was no excruciating pain like he had expected. There was no change at all. The teacher, noticing this, said with a hint of confusion, "It seems like you're not reacting." I shrugged and replied with a grin, "Teacher, did I get the fake serum or something?" At that moment, Wang Tong Tong, who had already awakened, walked over smugly, laughing. "Look at this. It doesn't seem to have awakened at all. A warrior who hasn't awakened is like a bird without wings. Isn't that game over for you? But I guess that works out for you. You won't have to be a warrior and can just go home and wait to die." Wang Tong Tong often bullied the weak. And seeing Ehai's timid nature, she would pick on him every now and then. He was about to snap back, but suddenly felt his heart pounding violently. At the same time, a system interface appeared in his mind, displaying infinite monster template acquired. Host E system rating B. Martial Arts 9 set of Student Kai Cultivation Mountain Fist Hard Cheong monster templates extracted. He quickly shouted at Wang Tanong, "Move aside," but she arrogantly replied, "What's the matter? So what if you haven't awakened? Stop pretending, leave, why should I?" Ehai gritted his teeth, enduring the changes within, and said softly, "If you don't leave now, it'll be too late." In the next moment, Ehai awakened, and it was the Emperor Demon Raw Bloodline ability. Wang Tanong, who had been standing right in front of him, was blasted away by a powerful shockwave, crashing to the ground. Most of the other students were also thrown back by the immense shockwave, with some even vomiting from the overwhelming pressure. However, 2 students were unaffected, and secretly thought to themselves, "Is there someone stronger than me?" Just then the system interface displayed. Awakened A-Class Template, Emperor Demon's Wrath, Bloodline Abilities, Azure Breath, Thermonuclear Pulse, Nuclear Energy Absorption, Evolution Form, Emperor Demon's Wrath. Template compatibility fully unlocked. Compatibility 3%. As the system prompt echoed, his heartbeat reached its peak, and a flash of eerie blue light appeared in his eyes. He stared in disbelief at his fingers glowing with blue light, muttering, "Is this the golden finger the system gave me?" The students around him were equally shocked, whispering, "Was that really Ihi? Did he just blast everyone away with his energy field in an instant?" Wang Tong Tong was even knocked unconscious, and she had awakened the second-tier monster, the flame lizard. What exactly did Ihi awaken? He, feeling a little embarrassed, said, "I guess my awakening caused a bit of a commotion. I told them to step aside, but they didn't listen." Just then the school's broadcast echoed. "All third-year students who have awakened, please proceed immediately to the testing hall for a gene awakening and martial arts level assessment. Repeat all." Inside the testing hall stood 10 high-tech cylindrical machines. And as each student stepped inside, the large screen on the podium would display their name, class, martial arts level, and the awakened monster gene. Li Yuan from our class awakened the third-tier monster bloodline of the Speedblade insect. He's really lucky. He was just an average student before, but now he's number 1 in our class. Chuho is definitely the top of the grade. Not only is he a level 9 martial disciple, but he also awakened the Ice Dragon, one of the top bloodlines in the 3rd tier. Looks like the valedictorian of our city will be him. Did you see what Miss Lu awakened? Holy crap. A rare 4th tier bloodline, the Ghostly Phoenix, provincial champion. If a 4th tier monster's real form showed up, it could destroy a whole city. Warriors would be like ants in front of them. Only masters could stand a chance. Listening to their discussions, he couldn't help but feel puzzled. The monsters they awakened were classified into tiers 3 and 4. So why was his A class? Soon it was his turn for the bloodline assessment. And the noise in the room grew even louder. With that shockwave he just released, he might be destined to become a big shot. If he plays his cards right, he'll definitely latch onto someone powerful. The crowd watched him approach the testing machine like he was a celebrity. The crowd automatically parted, for in this world, strength was everything. His overwhelming potential had naturally earned everyone's respect. The students murmured excitedly, "It's EH's turn." With the energy field he just showed, his level has to be high. What kind of bloodline can release such a powerful pressure after awakening? This guy's definitely something. Soon his information appeared on the screen, but to everyone's surprise, only the basic details were listed. Everything else was a question mark. Class 7. He Martial Disciple Level 3. Beast Bloodline Unknown. Martial Disciple Level 3. My little brother in middle school could beat him. Unknown bloodline. He probably doesn't even have one. Ihi, however, paid no attention to their mockery, because everything was going just as he expected. Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline wasn't detected, but what had show up was the prompt for the infinite monster template. While his template level was different from his classmates, it meant that as long as he met certain conditions, he could draw from an unlimited number of monster templates. Doesn't that mean he could become the king of monsters? He then went to ask the teacher for a leave of absence. The teacher frowned and asked, "What? You want to take leave to study at home and return after the exams? Do you really think I'll believe you'll go home and actually study?" He responded earnestly, "Teacher, I really want to improve. I know I've fallen behind, and I need special training. If I don't keep up with everyone, I won't make it." The teacher said, "Seriously, Hihi. You know, the only way to become a warrior is to go to university. I understand you've awakened your bloodline, but your foundation is too weak. You won't be able to pass the entrance exams. So, get ready to repeat the year and come back next year. Don't rush." Excited replied, "Teacher, only by rushing can I improve." Maybe you don't understand, but now that I've awakened a powerful bloodline with hard training, I'm sure I can succeed. You see the sincerity in my eyes. I would never lie to you. The teacher was momentarily taken aback, then nodded, saying, "Your eyes do seem sincere. All right, but next year, you'll still have to come back and repeat the year under my supervision." After sincerely thanking the teacher, he left the school and headed for the warrior center in the city. On the way, he thought to himself. He had used his parents' house as collateral for 600,000 plus the compensation from their accident of over 1 million. Now he had a solid starting fund. There were 2 options to increase his strength. One was to improve his warrior rank. The other was to enhance the compatibility of the Emperor Demon template. In the information of the Infinite Monster template, it showed that each template starts with a compatibility of only 1 point. But the Emperor Demon RA has 3 points. Where did the other 2 points come from? The only answer is that the Emperor Demon RA template absorbed the power of the Gene Awakening Serum, providing an additional 2 points of compatibility. This means that in this world, Gene Scientific Serums can enhance template abilities. And compared to the long and grueling training of warriors, spending money to increase template compatibility is clearly more suited for him. So, he needs to hurry and buy a serum to boost his genetic power. After swiping his student ID, he walked into the Warrior Center. Since loading the Emperor Demon RA template, he had gained a unique perception ability: life magnetism. He could clearly sense the burning vital energy, and the beast roars in the bloodlines of the warriors around him, like a furnace inside them. This intense life signal made his heart pound, but it wasn't fear, it was the urge to conquer. After all, the legendary Emperor Demon Rare was the king of monsters in their world. Unfortunately, he was still a rookie, and could only hold back the combat bloodline of Emperor Demonere, forcing himself to endure. Once he had accumulated enough power, he would show this world what it truly means to be the king of monsters. Just then, a hand landed on his shoulder. "Little one, don't peek into others' business. You must have just awakened your beast gene, right? It's normal not to be able to control your power. What brings you to the Warrior Center?" A gentle older sister smiled and asked, "Beautiful sister, sorry, I didn't mean to. I came to buy gene serums, but this place is so big, I can't find where to go. Could you help me with directions?" The woman smiled and said, "Yon serums? You want to use them at this stage?" He thought there might be some taboo about it. The woman explained, "It's not a big deal, but gene serums are expensive, and they can easily lead to drug resistance, meaning their effectiveness will decrease over time. To maximize their effect, warriors usually wait until their bloodlines are developed to their peak before using them." He asked, "How much does one gene serum cost?" The woman replied, "At your stage, you'll only be able to use the basic consolidation type serum, which costs about 400,000. He was shocked, thinking to himself, "That's so expensive. My savings would only buy me 5 at most." He immediately asked, "Do you happen to know anyone who can give me a discount?" The woman handed him a business card with the name Huang Yuli, level 4 martial disciple written on it. She smiled and said, "Here, take my card. With an introduction from experienced warrior, you might get a discount." He politely thanked her, and then parted ways. Soon he arrived at the warrior hospital and spent 1.45 million on 4 gene serums. With the remaining funds, he purchased some basic equipment and weapons. Warriors earn a lot, but they also spend heavily. This trip had turned him from a comfortable middle-class guy into someone living paycheck to paycheck. Once back home, he couldn't wait to inject the serums. As the light blue fluid entered his body, flowing through his veins and reaching his limbs, he immediately felt his blood start to boil, as if a massive beast was roaring joyously inside him. After injecting all the serums, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon template increased from 3% to 7%. His physique also rose from a level 8 to 15, reaching Martial Disciple level 7. So, this is what improvement feels like. Nice. But every time I injected a serum, my physique would rise by 2 points, but the last one only increased it by 1. It seems that as my body improves, further enhancements will become increasingly difficult. But this isn't bad. Just a few minutes of injections and I've achieved what would normally take others 3 years of hard training. This is still just my normal physical condition. If I activate the power of Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline, I might just have a shot at becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exams. If even with an advantage, I can't surpass those geniuses, then this boost is really underwhelming. But for now, I'll start planning for the next step, heading into the Secret Realm. The rifts to Secret Realms are divided into 6 levels from S to E. The higher the level, the stronger the monsters inside. In an S-level Secret Realm, the monsters are completely uncontrollable by humans. If they invade the real world, the destruction would be catastrophic. He had entered in city's third-level secret realm. To his surprise, there were fewer people here than he expected. Perhaps it was because the secret realm had been developed for so long. After all, it was an old secret realm, and the valuable treasures had already been taken, leaving only some weak monsters for new warriors to practice on. He signed a death waiver at the entrance, and received his ticket to the secret realm. Soon, he arrived at the rift. The rift was 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide, and it appeared to be a blue-gray fluid-like substance with sparkling white particles flashing within it. He was extremely excited about his first journey into the secret realm, thinking to himself that this was the beginning of his path to becoming the king of monsters. With that thought, he leaped and jumped right into the rift. After landing safely on the ground of the secret realm, he looked up at the sky and immediately saw 3 gigantic planets hanging above him: Kanglan Star, Anwei Star, and Taine Star. Together, they formed a magnificent trio of planets in the sky, a scene straight out of sci-fi movie. He couldn't help but marvel. Although I had read about the appearance of the secret realm in the textbooks, experiencing it in person is something entirely different. It's truly spectacular. As he took in the otherworldly scenery, he noticed something creeping up behind him in the grass. It was a first-tier monster, the saber-toothed rabbit, known for its violent temperament and ability to hover. The moment the saber-toothed rabbit leapt, it was as fast as a bullet leaving the chamber. Its sharp teeth aimed directly at his jugular. However, with Emperor Demon Ra's sensory abilities, he had already noticed the rabbit's movements. He quickly dodged, then using his momentum, grabbed the saber-toothed rabbit by the head and crushed it with a pop. After its death, the body rapidly carbonized and turned to ash, leaving behind only a thumb-sized white monster core. He looked at the monster core and thought, "White ordinary quality? It's worth about 1,000. Not bad though. I made 1,000 in just a few minutes. The average person works an entire month for 3,000 or 4,000. However, collecting too many first-tier monster cores wouldn't do him much good. It would be best if he could find a second-tier or higher monster." No sooner had he spoken than a second-tier monster, the corpse moth, suddenly burst out from the ground. He chuckled softly, thinking to himself, "Well, that was quick." He drew his weapon and prepared to take the initiative. With a single sword strike, he hit the corpse moth. He'd studied the monster encyclopedia before and compared to the monster's steel-like back armor. Its underbelly was clearly more vulnerable. The foul-smelling green blood shot out, splattering on the ground and leaving a corrosive mark. The corpse moth curled its body into a ball, and its blade-like insect limbs rapidly slashed toward him. He immediately used his mountain fist technique. His fist, like a cannonball, slammed into the corpse moth, and its speed faltered after the hit. The corpse moth then launched 2 side-like fangs at him. He was startled. He didn't expect the corpse moth's mandibles to be capable of firing. He narrowly avoided the attack and quickly distanced himself. With his current martial artist level, he couldn't handle this monster. After all, he lacked the powerful martial arts techniques as support. Even his deep martial energy and vitality couldn't fully activate, barely reaching half its potential. Ultimately, it was due to the original body's poor foundation. Realizing the situation, he decided to activate his cheat. The Emperor Demon's Wrath bloodline. Activate. In the next moment, his skin turned deep blue, his pupils glowing like sapphires. His arms covered in a layer of tough scales. His vitality exploded several times over, and a gust of energy stirred around him. His claws became monstrous like those of a beast, and with one swift motion, he grabbed the corpse moth's head. His palm closed like a hydraulic press, and the corpse moth's tough shell cracked under his force. He then performed a swift sweep, and the corpse moth was immediately split open from its belly. With his physique now at a massive 21 points, facing the second-tier corpse moth was a complete walk in the park. After deactivating his transformation, his skin reverted to its normal human form, and his pores began to release heat with steam swirling around him. Looking at the short sword he had just bought, now corroded by the corpse moth's venom, he couldn't help but feel helpless. He had spent 250,000 on this gear, and it couldn't even handle a second-tier monster. What a rip-off. The quality control was terrible. Suddenly, His stomach rumbled loudly. Realizing this was his first monster hunt, the energy expenditure was massive, and now he was starving, but he hadn't brought any food with him. Just as he was fretting about not having any food, he suddenly smelled a delicious scent. He looked at the corpse moth's green monster core, which still emitted an enticing fragrance. He suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to swallow it, sensing his body's instinctive craving. Without hesitation, he gulped the monster core down. The crystal-like hard core transformed into a soft liquid once inside him, quickly turning into a warm wave of heat. Feeling like he had injected a gene serum, every cell in his body seemed to rejoice. Furthermore, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon RA bloodline increased by 0.3%. Seeing this, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. After all, he had spent hundreds of thousands on a single gene serum, and it only boosted his compatibility by 1%, but a second-tier monster core had increased it by 0.3%. A few monster cores could be worth an entire serum. The white core dropped by the saber-tooth rabbit should at least boost his compatibility by 1%. Realizing this, he started to tear up thinking, damn, I wasted so much money on gene serums. But then he decided to channel that frustration into motivation. Tonight he was on a hunt like crazy. After a moment of thought, he uses life magnetism to sense the positions of nearby monsters. The next day at noon, he walked out of the third secret realm, carrying a sack full of monster cores. As he walked, he thought to himself, once the compatibility reaches 9%, swallowing more white monster cores won't increase it anymore. So the rest will have to be sold for money. He arrived at the trading post and pulled out a total of 20 white monster cores and 4 green ones. The clerk stared at him in disbelief and asked, no way a high school student gathered this many monster cores. According to government regulations, warriors must hand over 10% of their harvest. To get 1 green monster core, they had to give up 5 white ones. After selling everything, he exchanged them for nearly 200,000 Summer Kingdom coins. With 9 days left until the college entrance exam, he found himself back at INSIT's 4th D-tier secret realm. A warrior team was already there. One team member said, Captain Lin, this time we should be about done with the Blood Jade Flower bounty mission, right? Second-tier warrior Lin, he replied. Last time we came here, we found the general location of the Blood Jade Flower, but old Shun got hurt, so he won't be joining us this time. 2 other team members expressed concern, but we only have 5 people now. The regulations say we need at least 6 to enter a D-tier secret realm. Captain Lin pointed behind him and said, no worries. I contacted an agency, and they introduced us to a new warrior. Are you the martial disciple level 9, Patterzilla? E nodded, thinking to himself. Because I'm still a student and can't directly enter a D-tier secret realm, I had to use a black market agent to get a fake identity to join the team. They charged me 100,000 coins for that. What a scam. Lenny looked surprised. Patterilla. That's an odd name, he replied flatly. I couldn't use the original name or I'd risk infringing copyright. Lenny sighed and said, well, whatever. It's just a code name. With your martial disciple level 9 status, you don't have the qualifications to enter a D-tier secret realm. Our team will give you the chance to observe and learn, but make sure you don't hold us back. Seeing his serious expression, he thought to himself, at least he's being clear about the responsibilities before the mission. That's more reliable than someone throwing me under the bus. Later on, after preparing, the 6-person team got into the off-road vehicle and drove straight into the rift of the secret realm. This time, as they entered the secret realm, they found themselves in a vast desert. The bounty task they were given was to find a rare secret realm plant called the Kawu flower. This was their second time entering this particular secret realm. Last time they had successfully located the general area of the Blood Jade Flower, which was guarded by a second-tier monster with a champion-level bloodline. The off-road vehicle kicked up a long trail of dust across the desert with sandstorms swirling all around. Sitting in the vehicle, he thought to himself, last time it was the rainforest, this time it's a desert. It seems that the secret realms aren't connected to just one world. Suddenly, several mole-like monsters poked their heads out from the ground. They followed the vehicle, seemingly preparing to launch an attack. One of the team members, Huda, was a man of few words. He immediately threw several crystal iron-throwing darts. Each dart hit its target, striking the heads of the mole monsters with precision. The martial energy within the darts instantly seeped into their brains, shattering them. After a short while, the vehicle came to a stop near a small oasis in the desert. The blood jade flower Lin he was looking for was located in this oasis. Since the monsters in the oasis were very sensitive, the sound of the off-road vehicle's engine would give them away. So, the group decided to get out and continue on foot. As the team leader, Lin, he began assigning tasks. Xiao, you'll release the shockwave grenade to draw the monster out. Xiao Wu and Huda, you two will set up the traps. Old Lu, you'll provide suppression fire. I'll handle the front lines. Powderzilla, you stay back and observe. Yi nodded, saying, no problem. After the tasks were assigned, the team got to work. The shockwave grenade soared into the air, releasing a thunderous sound. At the same time, a wave of higher-tier monster energy was rapidly released, causing some of the nearby monsters to think their territory was being invaded, drawing them toward the group. Soon, a massive rumble echoed from the oasis, as if thousands of wild bulls were charging. A 10-m-long second-tier monster, the Earth Dragon, roared as it smashed through trees and charged toward them. At this moment, Huda shouted, "New guy, watch out. The monster's coming." The nearby team members immediately activated the traps, and a large cloud of tranquilizing gas engulfed the Earth Dragon. This special gas made specifically for monsters was potent enough to sedate a whale with just a small vial. Linhe, who had been waiting, leaped high, wielding his ton-heavy alloy sword. The blade cut through the air with a sharp whistle, and with a single strike, he decapitated the Earth Dragon, sending blood gushing out like a fountain. The team assumed the Earth Dragon had been dealt with. Then she prepared to continue the search for the blood jade fruit. However, just then, the Earth Dragon suddenly raised its massive paw and slammed it toward Linhe. Fortunately, he had been on guard, instantly reacting. He launched his full-power mountain fist technique, finishing the Earth Dragon off and saving Linhe's life. The team was shocked. They hadn't expected that Ihei, a first-tier martial artist, could possess the strength to shake a second-tier monster. Such power earned their respect, and they no longer saw him as a liability, but as a valuable teammate. After defeating the Earth Dragon, the team found the oasis completely clear. Soon they arrived at the center of the oasis lake, where the blood jade fruit awaited. The blood jade fruit was a rare item that only appeared under very low chances. It was said to cleanse a warrior's body and enhance their physical potential, making it highly sought after, though it rarely appeared in the market. Just as he was about to celebrate, Huda from the team unexpectedly attacked with a poison dagger, stabbing it into Linhe's abdomen. The other team members exclaimed, "What's going on here?" Linhe swung his arm in a desperate move, shouting, "Huda, what the hell are you doing?" Huda quickly retreated, dodging the blow. At that moment, a bald man who looked tough as nails stepped forward, sneering, "What's going on? Can't you see? He's obviously up to something that could make him rich." He was surprised that they all knew this man Hop. Xiao Wu angrily explained, "Ho Hung. He specializes in robbing warriors of their loot from the secret realms, and now he set his sights on us. What a bastard." Linhe, clutching his bleeding abdomen, looked at Huda, and Hope hung in pain and anger, growling, "The blade's poisoned." "Huda, you traitor, how did you know about this?" "Even my teammates only learned the blood jade flowers after entering the secret realm." At this moment, Ihei calmly said, "It was the throwing darts. You left the information on the darts." Huda sneered, "You're clever, Powderzilla, but you're still just a student, right? With the exams coming up, why aren't you studying and instead choosing to follow these scumbags on this trip?" Ihei cracked his neck and replied coldly, "Yeah, the exams are coming up and I've got a top spot waiting for me." Ho Hung, furious at Ihei's arrogance, shot a dart straight at him. He easily caught the dart, smirking. "You're barking so loudly like a disgusting fence-sitter. Now that's arrogance so loud. I think it's time to clean up the trash." He then crushed Huda's dart with one hand. Ho Hung, watching this, turned to Huda and said, "This kid's got some guts. Huda, I'll be taking his head." Without hesitation, Huda launched a barrage of darts at Ihei. He grinned coldly, the battle intent in his eyes flaring like a wildfire. After several secret realm fights, he had long grown accustomed to the bloody struggles between warriors. He quickly retreated, narrowly dodging the incoming darts. Huda seized the opportunity to get closer, spinning in the air. A sharp blade extended from his boots and his long leg swung down like a giant axe, aiming to slice Ahai in half. Eden dodge. He pressed his finger to his forehead, and blue energy immediately gathered at his fingertip, releasing an atomic breath. The blue beam instantly pierced through Huda's heart. As Huda's broken body fell to the ground, everyone froze for a moment, forgetting to continue the fight. Hong, both surprised and furious, questioned, "Who are you? Which powerful family do you come from to be able to use gene techniques?" He coldly smiled at Hopong and replied, "I'm from the Emperor Demon family. Do you want to beg for mercy?" Hohong, sensing the intense killing intent emanating from Ihi, realized this situation was beyond repair. His blood surged, and the pressure of a second-tier warrior weighed heavily on everyone, leaving them gasping for air. With his bloodline activation, Hopang's body swelled several times in size, turning into a terrifying little giant. His massive frame and surging blood energy gave off an overwhelming sense of pressure, fully transforming him into a beast-like monster. He charged at Ihei, moving like a tank with a blast of wind behind him. In a split second that followed, Ihei crouched low, swiftly flipping to the side to dodge. His fingers shot out again, releasing a blue particle beam aimed at Hopang's vulnerable ankle. Hopang screamed in pain, bringing both his hands together and smashing them down toward Ihei. Ihei, with his agile footwork, easily dodged the attack. Surprised, he thought to himself, "A second-tier warrior really is something else. My atomic breath couldn't even melt his ankle bones." Ho-Hung then swung his arms like massive wrecking balls, closing in on Ihei, as if trying to crush him with his giant hands. However, Ihei suddenly appeared behind Hop-Punk. He then unleashed his fists, charged with intense nuclear radiation, pounding one blow after another into Hopang's body, each punch injecting lethal nuclear material into his system. With Hopang's second-tier warrior body and his bloodline enhancement, he could easily withstand my punches, but he definitely couldn't handle the continuous nuclear magic attacks. Soon, the internal organs in his body began to liquefy into pus and blood. Hop, writhing in agony, glared at Ihei with hatred, accusing him of using poisonous gene techniques, cursing that such evil warriors would eventually be punished. He scoffed at him and raised his fist to end his life, thinking to himself, "The number of people cursing me will only grow, but what's he really worth?" 9 days flew by in the blink of an eye, and today was one of the grandest days in the Summer Kingdom. The National College entrance exams were finally here. In front of a nationwide live broadcast, the host began speaking to the candidates, first wishing them success and then explaining the exam rules. The exam was held in a tournament-style format taking place in the Central City Sports Arena. Students would compete in pairs, and the winners would advance to the next round with a whole event lasting 3 days. The first 2 days were for the preliminary rounds, and only the students who advanced could participate in the third day's exam. Each student had to compete in 3 matches during the prelims, and those who made it to the finals would continue to fight until the top score was chosen. The host emphasized that the candidates carried the future of humanity on their shoulders, urging them to showcase their strength for themselves and for the future of mankind, before officially announcing the start of Incidity's college entrance exams. As the host's voice faded, the candidates began to step onto the arena. On Arena 6, the match was between Ihei and Wang Tanong. But at that moment, he had still not arrived. The host announced that according to the rules, if Ihei was not present after the match began, he would be disqualified. Wang Tong stood on the arena, smug and satisfied, thinking to herself, "The Gene Conference made me lose face, a shame I'll carry for life. I was planning to humiliate Ihei with my flame lizard, but that pathetic fool is hiding and won't show up. How disappointing," the audience murmured. "How pathetic. He's too scared to even show up for the exams. He's probably hiding a home, trembling. Someone like him shouldn't even be in high school. He should just go sweep the streets." At that moment, the referee blew his whistle and said, "Time's up." and City First High School E, before the referee could finish speaking. The crowd suddenly felt a powerful presence approaching. They all looked up and were shocked to see a person there. What kind of immense power could allow someone to fly like that? Just as the audience below was debating, the person suddenly landed on the arena, and the immense force caused the entire platform to shake. When the dust cleared, Wang Tanong was still confused, and the next moment, a foot was about to slam into her face. With that, Wang Tanong was kicked off the stage. He watched Wang Tong fly off and muttered, "That was close. Almost had to come back next year." As Wang Tong was knocked out of the arena, unconscious, the host loudly announced, "A wins." He scoffed, saying, "That's it. This was too easy." The audience couldn't believe it, shouting, is seriously strong. One kick and his opponent was done. The way he entered was so cool. Is this what they call a kick from the heavens? At that moment, the system displayed. Ihi's total physique is 226, and his compatibility is 20%. He proudly said, "As a thank you, Captain Lin gave me the blood jade fruit. It took some time to improve my physique, but now you're about to see some real action." After defeating Wang Tong, he continued to battle the others. 3 matches, 3 wins. Each one ended with a single kick. No hesitation. The audience went wild, shouting, "Ihe is like one kickman." As expected, the host announced, Ihe, from In-City First High School. 3 wins in a row, advancing to the 3rd round. Down in the stands, a crowd gathered around Ihe, asking for his contact information. Some are recommending their own schools. And a reporter asked, "Do you have a dream university in mind?" Upon hearing the question, Ihe's eyes flashed, and he confidently replied, "Sorry, I'm aiming for Huadu University." Hearing this, the crowd around Ihe suddenly scattered. He sighed, saying, "What? You don't believe me? But I can't blame them. Huadu University is the best martial arts college in the Summer Kingdom, one of the top 5 in the world, a holy land for all warriors. Cities like In-City only allow the top students to enter that sacred place. But it's fine. Martial artists are judged by their strength. Once I'm the top scorer, we'll see what they say." At that moment, the examiner noticed Ihe's performance and approached him, asking for a retest of his martial artist level. After a quick scan, the examiner was shocked and exclaimed, just half a month ago he was a martial disciple level 3, but now he had reached level 9. Upon further investigation, they found that he had frequently visited Etia's secret realms after leaving school, so they asked him why he ventured into such dangerous places right before the college entrance exams. He casually explained, "It's to settle myself. My father left me a message before he passed. He said that to surpass humanity, you have to stop being human. So, I've been going to secret realms battling and breaking through my genetic locks." The examiner froze when he heard he mentioned breaking his genetic lock, and immediately said, "I need to report this right away." After that, the examiner rushed off. He couldn't help but feel like he had somehow become a subject of intense scrutiny. On the day of the tournament, he stepped onto the arena once again. This time his opponent was Lu Xian from City's 3rd High. He was a martial disciple level 8, with the bloodline of a rare 2nd-tier monster, and both of his parents were warriors. He looked at Lu Xin with boredom and motioned for him to make the first move. Luo Xian, feeling belittled, couldn't help but feel some anger rising within him. He immediately activated his bloodline and used his martial skill Thunderclap Claw, accelerating to top speed. His heart beat like a supercar engine. And as he ran, his body accelerated again and again. His sharp claws slashed toward Ihi's throat, and the finely honed martial skill cut through the air, creating sparks and a sonic boom. If it hit, even a martial disciple level 9 would be killed. However, he never expected that. As his arm came near, he effortlessly grabbed it. He casually commented, "Nice energy, but it's nowhere near that bald guy's charge." Without hesitation, Ei delivered a palm strike to Luo Xian's head. The immense force knocked Luo Xian out cold right on spot. Then arrogantly said, "Are there no decent contestants?" The host quickly announced, another victory with 1 strike, and this time, He defeated the seed player, Luo Xian. Dozens of high-speed cameras focused on Ihe, capturing shots from every angle, and the live broadcast was buzzing. Viewers couldn't stop talking, some in awe, saying, Luo Xin looked so fierce, and in the blink of an eye, he's on the ground. Strength is on a whole different level compared to the other candidates. In this martial arts-driven era, He's overwhelming display of power stirred the passion of everyone watching. Shuha watched as Lu Xin was carried off the stage by medics, his eyes filled with fierce determination, and he instinctively clenched his fists. As expected, you're the one I've been rooting for. I'll definitely defeat you in the finals. The head of the Wad University admissions office, having watched He's impressive performance through the live broadcast, demanded to have all of his information within half an hour. Just after he finished his match, the second group of the qualifiers was already in full swing. This match was even more heated than his, as both competitors were top-tier beauties with larger followings, making it even more of a spectacle. One of them was Kai Shaoling from City Second High, a petite girl with an incredibly sexy figure. She flipped her long golden pigtails, giving Lu Qingzhu a provocative look, and remarked that she hated the robotic expression of Lu's family's young lady. Lu Qingzhu didn't respond. Instead, she simply bowed slightly and greeted her, her face expressionless, as if she didn't take Kai Shaoling's challenge seriously at all. The referee blew the whistle, signaling the start of the match. With the aura of a martial disciple level 9, Kai Shaoling instantly appeared in front of Lu Qingzhu, sweeping a kick towards Lu Qingzhu's neck, threatening to slam her to the ground. Lu Qingzhu still made no move, lightly waving her palms, causing the air around her to thicken, becoming as viscous as a swamp under the influence of her martial technique. When Kai Shaoling's kick met the air in front of Lu Qingzhu, she felt as though her leg, which could tear through military-grade steel, had instead sunk into soft cotton. Under the diminishing effects, even the high-speed cameras could only capture Kai Shaoling's white leg moving in slow motion, visibly decelerating. Kai Shaoling, furious at Lu Qingzhu's immovable expression, intensified her attack. She cloaked her body in martial energy, minimizing air resistance, and blurred her form into a shadow as she circled Lu Qingzhu, waiting for the right moment to strike a palm to Lu Qingzhu's side. But as her palm neared Lu Qingzhu's waist by just 3 in, it suddenly couldn't get any closer. Realizing she had fallen into a trap, Kai Shaoling tried to retract her hand, but the air in front of her exploded with unimaginable suction, preventing her from pulling back. At that moment, Lu Qingzhu made her first move, extending her slender fingers, which now shimmered with a jade-like light. The warriors watching a live stream had their eyes widened as they recognized the move, the Hunwan jade finger from the Xian Huang martial technique. To see a student about to take the high school entrance exams, mastering the Xin Huang technique was astonishing. Such martial talent didn't need to be proven through exams. This alone could guarantee a direct admission to Hadu University. Standing closest to Lu Qingzhu, Kai Shaoling could feel the terrifying energy from the jade finger, realizing that if she didn't pull out her trump card now, it would be her last chance. Without hesitation, she activated her bloodline, Shadow Tiger King. A massive shockwave exploded from her body, shattering the air around her. Lu Qingzhu, however, didn't choose to withstand the blow. She lightly tapped the ground with her foot, her body swiftly sliding a dozen meters to create some distance. The examiners in the stands held their breath, eyes fixed on Kai Shaoling, amazed. A king-level bloodline is hard to control, and the Shadow Tiger King is known for its brutal power. This girl's future is boundless. The awakening of the Shadow Tiger King's bloodline placed a heavy burden on Kai Shaoling's body. She exhaled hot air and struggled to speak to Lu Qingzhu, challenging her to display the Phantom Crow bloodline. Lu Qingzhu, ever the woman of few words, spoke her first line since the battle began. "This is enough." Kai Shaoling, completely enraged, shouted, "Do you think anyone below a warrior can challenge me?" Her body moved like a vicious tiger, her fierce blood energy coiling into a torrent behind her, her palms slashing through the air toward Lu Qingzhu. Facing the brutal strike, Lu Qingzhu softened the blow with grace, her hands moving like she was playing a piano. The invisible threads of her technique gradually reducing Kai Shaoling's force until it disappeared entirely. Kai Shaoling's attack failed, and she immediately drew on her immense blood energy, dispelling the invisible threads around Lu Qingzhu. With her small body in mid-air, she kicked again. Seeing this, Lu Qinggu activated the Xian Huang technique once more. Hunhuan Jade Finger. The jade-colored tip of her finger collided with Kai Shaoling's fierce kick, and the two powerful techniques clashed, shattering the specially made arena beneath their feet. The arena erupted in a cloud of dust. Tens of thousands of spectators watched with bated breath, waiting for the final victor. As the dust cleared, Kai Shaoling was the first to appear. She was covered in blood, stumbling a few steps before collapsing to the ground from exhaustion. Lu Qingzu, however, stood like an ethereal fairy, her hair slightly disheveled, but otherwise pristine and composed, with just his martial skills. He completely dominated Kai Shaoling, who also had a martial disciple level 9 and a king-level bloodline. Lu Qingzu's powerful display instantly exploded the live broadcast room. Viewers were amazed by Lu Qingzu's strength. Some even claimed she was the top scorer from its city, while others leaked that Lu Qinggu had awakened the fourth-tier bloodline of the Phantom Crow, a talent so rare that most warriors would be unable to defeat her. After Lu Qingzu's battle, the rest of the matches, though still exciting, seemed dull in comparison. After several rounds of elimination, the final 8 were decided. From In-City First High, there were me and Lu Qingzu, 3 from Chuho, 2 from In-City High, and 3 from In-City Qingfang Private High. The finals of the top 8 were about to begin, and Yihe stepped up first to draw lots. He drew an A. A 2-meter-tall muscular giant glanced at him, and revealed his own draw, which was also a looks like we're set to face off. His name was Shan Guan from Qingfeng Private High. He nodded and introduced himself. Xingguan said we were the second match. So, let's watch the first match first. He looked simple and straightforward with hands as big as fans pointing toward the big screen above the arena. The first match was Lu Shi from Qingfeng Private High versus Chuha from In-City First High. Shan Guan casually started chatting with Yihe, saying that Luo, she was incredibly talented, a repeat student who was specifically aiming for Huadi University this year. He had great mastery over his bloodline awakening, but still stood no chance against Chua. Chua, right? He's from your school in City First High. You must know him. At that moment, the host announced the first match of the top 8 qualifiers. Chuho from City First High wins. The principal of Qingfeng Private High heard news and angrily said, "Damn, they lost right at the start." At this point, he asked, "How does Louis compare to you?" Shunguan grinned and said, "I'm the martial arts president at Qingfeng Private High Level 3. Honestly, my 2 teammates combined couldn't even match me." Then he suddenly turned his gaze toward Ahai and said, "But to be honest, I think you're my biggest rival in this exam. I've always had an extremely sensitive sense. I can feel that you're like a dormant volcano with a beast hidden inside you. Let's go. It's our turn." With that, Ahai and Shunan walked toward the arena. The host announced the second match of the top 8 qualifiers. Shan Guan from Qingfeng Private High versus Ihai from In-City First High. The quarterfinals of the Oning Combat Trials, a high-stakes battle for elite university selection, were reaching a fever pitch. At the sound the referee's call, Ihai and Shan Guan lunged at each other, fists exploding forward like thunderclaps. Their blows collided mid-air, unleashing a shockwave that echoed like a detonation. The very air trembling from the force. Blood trickled from Shan Guan's nose, yet he grinned with manic delight. "Nosebleed. Is that the manifestation of your bloodline power?" A golden aura surged around his body, forming a shimmering shield of battle energy that blocked out the surrounding radiation. "So Yihe, this is the extent of your strength." He didn't respond, but a blazing light ignited in his eyes, the calm before a storm. Xinyuan let out a snort and stomped forward, the floor cracking beneath him, then witnessed the legacy of the Shun family, our ancestral art. Formintant fist, antler strike, his fist thrust out like a charging stag's horns, sharp and unstoppable. The speed of the technique was blinding faster than the eye could follow. In an instant, a devastating blow landed squarely on Ihai's chest. He let out a gasp, blood spraying from his mouth. His body was flung dozens of meters back, crashing hard at the edge of the arena. Xinhuan didn't let up. Bear rotation. His massive frame seemed to swell even further, then hurled himself forward like a collapsing mountain, aiming to crush Yi. He beneath sheer brute force, facing Shangguan's avalanche-like assault, he crossed his arms to block. The moment they clashed, the arena floor cracked and collapsed under the pressure of their collision. In a sudden feint, Shanunguan retracted his fist, and with a blur of movement appeared behind Eihei. In an instant, grabbing him by the waist, Shangguan roared and hurled him skyward with raw explosive force, dropping into a crouch like a stalking beast. Shunguan's face twisted into a predator's snarl as he let out a guttural growl. Like a tiger about to strike, he launched himself upward, intercepting Eihei midair in a full-force tackle. As they collided, his form shifted again like an eagle dive bombing from the clouds, slicing through the air with 3 visible shockwaves. Slammed into the ground like a meteor, cratering deep into the earth as dust exploded outward. The relentless combo left Eihei overwhelmed with no room to retaliate. Landing with a flourish, Shunguan crossed his arms and laughed heartily. Now that was satisfying. On the sidelines, medics prepared to rush in. After that brutal form-intent fist combo, even a veteran fighter would be half dead. But suddenly, Shunguan froze, a chill crawling up his spine. He felt it like standing before an ancient monster. His instincts screamed at him to retreat from his settling dust. A massive scale-covered arm emerged. Then he stepped forward, transformed, his body now towering monstrous like a humanoid Godzilla. His voice rumbled low and powerful. "You're strong. That's why you get the honor of witnessing this form first." Shinuan's pupils dilated in disbelief. He stood frozen, stunned by what he was witnessing. Beast form manifestation. Your bloodline awakening reached that level. The beast form. An ultimate transformation that only those who have fully mastered their bloodline can attain. It unleashes the true might of the ancient beast slumbering within. He had never imagined that in this remote city of Anning, there was another prodigy who could rival the likes of Lu Qingzu. As Eihei's monstrous form stabilized, a blaring alarm erupted from the energy monitors beside the proctors. These devices could track the fluctuations of awakened combatants in real time. Radiation levels spiked to catastrophic levels, completely maxing out the instruments. The proctor's eyes narrowed, quickly released dense energy barriers to contain the surging power. The crowd gasped, then exploded with excitement. "Did you see that? This is Eihei's awakened form. What kind of bloodline is that? Anyone know?" "I'm from First Academy. They say his bloodline's classified as unknown, but how can that be unknown?" He glanced around as he heard the murmurs. So, this world didn't know about the Imperial Megalithon. That meant no one here could recognize the bloodline he had awakened. Meanwhile, Shangguan's nose began to bleed again. The radiation now surpassed what his energy shield could handle. He clenched his fists, realizing he had to finish this fast. With a roar, Shanguan triggered his own awakening. A blinding aura surged from his core, golden patterns arcing through the air like lightning. One of the proctors muttered in awe. "That's the Golden Simian King bloodline. A Tier 3 royal strain was going on in this city." A golden radiance surged across Shangguan's body with a deafening roar. His frame expanded to nearly 3 meters tall, towering like a gilded war god at the center of the ring. He launched a devastating punch, the motion fluid and serpentine. This was Serpent Strike, a deadly move from his inherited martial art, form intent fist. He responded instantly, stepping forward with mountain-breaking fist. The technique appeared simple, but the sheer force behind it was terrifying, like a landslide hurtling toward its target. Their fists collided with a thunderous impact, the air exploding between them in a violent shockwave that pushed spectators back. Power-wise, Yi's awakened form had completely surpassed Shenuan. Shangguan was blasted backward, and even his golden hide said to deflect bullets cracked under the pressure, blood seeping through. Were it not for his last-second energy redirection, his entire arm would have shattered on the spot. It was the first time Shangguan found himself overpowered in a direct clash. But rather than back off, he charged in again, his arms twisted like twin serpents, coiling around Yi. He in an attempt to hurl him through the air. But he might as well have tried to lift the mountain. He remained immovable. Changing tactics, Shangguan crouched low, muscles coiling tight like a loaded spring. With explosive force, he launched upward, legs tearing into the ground. Then came elephant stomp, another form intent technique. Boom! The impact rocked the entire arena. Shock waves shattered the stage's surface as if an earthquake had hit dead center. As the dust cleared, every spectator stared at the arena in stunned silence. The beastly figure, still standing tall, hadn't budged an inch. Now it's my turn. E's voice was low and steady as he pulled his embedded leg from the cracked floor. Blue energy rippled around his fist, distorting the air with intense heat, as if the very atmosphere was ready to combust. But just as he was about to strike, Shangguan suddenly dropped to his knees with a loud thud. I surrender. F rose mid-step, visibly confused. Wait, what? The surging energy he'd been building had to be pulled back. According to the rules, he couldn't attack once his opponent officially conceded. The dark blue scales faded away as he returned to his normal form, the transformation fully undone. Victory goes to Ihei, the referee announced. Meanwhile, the livestream chat exploded. In a world where strength was everything, a climactic battle had just ended. With a surrender, he became an overnight sensation. His follower count skyrocketed in real time. Highlight clips like the monster who made his rival kneel and one punch to godhood spread like wildfire across social media. Comments poured in. He is this year's #1. No contest. Forget Lu Qingzhu. He's on another level. Back at Qingfang Private Academy, the principal's face darkened as he clenched his fists. Luo She failed and I invested everything in Shangguan. He glared at Shunan as he walked off the stage, shouting, You surrendered? Do you know how much money we pumped into you? Ungrateful brat. You're not stepping into any university until you pay us back. The principal barely finished his sentence when Shangguan calmly placed a hand on his shoulder. Though the gesture was light, Principal Qingfang suddenly felt a cold chill run through his entire body. Xinyuan's gaze was steady, his voice sharp as steel. I couldn't take that last punch. Had I tried, I would have damaged my foundation. I conceded for my own good. If you think that's cowardice, then why don't you go take that hit? He stepped closer. As for your academy's investment in me, I'll repay it. But don't forget, you can't threaten someone stronger than you. The principal swallowed hard, voice trembling. All right. Why you make a good point. With the second match over, the tournament moved forward swiftly. Of the final 4 contenders, 3 hailed from First Academy. Only 1 came from Second Academy. But the Second Academy's student had been completely overshadowed. The crowd barely noticed him, turning him into a forgotten extra. Meanwhile, the First Academy's headmaster was grinning ear to ear. The semi-final draw began. He stepped forward first, unfolding his slip. Hey. Just as he turned to leave, he felt a gaze pierce through the crowd. Looking up, he locked eyes with a girl whose pupils gleamed like obsidian. Lu Qingshu in her hand was an A as well. Semifinals match 1. E versus Lu Qingshu. Aning First Academy's ultimate showdown. The stadium erupted, and the livestream went nuclear. Holy crap. We finally get to see it. Anning's most anticipated clash in entrance exam history. He smashed her, bro. No way. Lu Qingshu is the real deal. She's mastered 2 Xin Huang tier techniques and demolished a tier 3 royal bloodline candidate. And she hasn't even revealed her full bloodline potential yet. Don't forget Xuan was a tier 3 royal too. He had to awaken mid-battle to beat him. L's got tier 4 blood and high martial mastery. This might be Ihai's biggest challenge yet. Agreed. Makes sense. Nah, he's got this. The internet was ablaze with debate. Who was stronger, Ihai or Lu Qinggu? But they wouldn't have to argue much longer. The semi-finals of Anning First Academy had officially begun. He versus Lu Qingzhu. The moment the referee gave the signal, white mist surged around Ihai like a storm, his aura boiling over as he instantly entered his awakened bloodline state. The power rolling off him bent the very air around the arena. But Lu Qingzhu wasn't faced. Her martial techniques weren't just powerful, they were unconventional, elusive, and nearly untouchable. Brute strength alone wouldn't be enough to land a blow on her. What made her even more dangerous was her strategic mind. He knew if the fight dragged on, he'd be at a disadvantage. So, he made his choice. Go all out from the first move. Lu Yingzhu remained expressionless, her voice as calm and cold as steel. She met Ahi's blazing gaze and said, I hope you're strong enough to make me take this seriously." Suddenly, Ahi released a large amount of steam, enveloping the entire arena. The audience below was instantly confused with a mist clouding everything. They couldn't see what was happening. The host immediately added fuel to the fire. The genius of the Liu family, Liu Qingzhu, faces the dark horse of this year's competition. Ahi, how will she respond? Let's wait and see. Could this be Ahi's bloodline awakening? He kept his eyes locked on the silhouette of Liu Qingzhu through the smoke, knowing that he couldn't afford to be careless. Liu Qingzhu's martial skills far surpassed his own. And with her mysterious techniques, no matter how powerful his strength, it would be difficult to harm her. This martial genius also had an exceptionally high battle IQ. The longer the battle went on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him, so he had to go all out from the start. One blow to end the fight. No second chances. A tremendous amount of energy gathered in Ahi's right fist as he launched his mountain-blocking fist. Liu Qingzhu didn't expect Ahi to come at her so aggressively. She quickly crossed her arms, channeling her martial energy for defense, but Ahi's speed was so fast that he left a series of after images in front of her. Then Ahi suddenly swept a powerful kick toward her. The audience was discussing it. Did he just use a deceptive trick? Liu Qingzhu was speechless. This guy really said he was using his fists, but in reality, he was using his steel whip. At that moment, Ahi shouted, swinging his fist and appearing directly above Liu Qingzhu, his eyes glowing with intense energy. The audience was no longer calm, and they murmured, "Poor Liu Qingzhu, despicable Ahi. Using such tricks, showing no martial virtue." In martial combat, one must never hesitate to use tactics. Liu Qingzhu could only once again cross her arms to defend herself. The audience couldn't help but hold their breath for her. Oh no. Liu Qingzhu's rhythm was completely disrupted by that move. Now wasn't the time to show mercy. Yi kept attacking with one strike after another, not giving her a chance to retaliate, hitting her like a punching bag. The audience saw clearly that Ahi's pursuit was too fierce. Liu Qingzhu had no chance to escape. But what happened next left them even more confused. He actually used his martial energy to push Liu Qingzhu back. Didn't that give her a chance to counterattack? But the next second, what awaited her was the claw of the imperial magic beast. He wasn't foolish. How could he make such a mistake? With a flash, a powerful wind blade swept toward Liu Qingzhu, showing no mercy. Liu Qingzhu widened her eyes. This move was a palm strike embedded with martial energy. She quickly leapt into the air, elegantly dodging, moving like an angel. Then came a loud crash as the claws collided with her defensive barrier. He appeared once more above her, flashing an evil grin, his hands swirling with immense power. "Liu, don't run away." Then came a storm of ferocious attacks like a torrential rain. Liu Qingzhu was starting to question her own life. How could he not be tired from such a high-intensity attack? His stamina was incredible. She couldn't help but envy him. As for herself, she had mastered two powerful techniques of the Yahello martial arts. One was a defensive secret technique from the Liu family, illusory shadow of floating flowers, and the other was an offensive technique mixed Yuan Jade Finger. If she could use either of them, she could break free from Ahi's relentless attacks. Unfortunately, Yi didn't give her any chance. If this continued, Liu Qingzhu would soon be knocked off the stage by Ahi. With no way out, Liu Qingzhu decided to stop hiding. Suddenly, a feather appeared on her fist. Yi's eyes narrowed upon seeing this. "Finally going to use your trump card." A long cry echoed throughout the arena, signaling the awakening of the bloodline, the netherworld sparrow. A humanoid bird soared into the air. Its purple wings flapped as pieces of feather floated down. This was the bloodline awakening. Liu Qingzhu was revealing her magical beast bloodline for the first time. The netherworld sparrow. You better be careful. I can't control my power in this form." He grinned at this, knowing this was exactly what he'd been waiting for. After all, he didn't want to unleash too much power and destroy her. As until now, he had only used about 50% of his strength. Now, he would go all out. However, in the next second, Liu Qingzhu appeared behind Ahi. She had actually used the Yahello martial arts technique, mixed Yuan Jade finger in her bloodline awakened state. He wasn't to be outdone. His bloodline from the Imperial Magic Beast stirred excitement in him. He roared and launched an atomic explosion fist. A tremendous boom resounding. A massive shockwave exploded behind them, shaking the entire arena. The audience gasped, so strong, so intense I can't open my eyes. Lu Qingzhu also let out a gasp. Her eyes widened, and a bead of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. Both of them seemed unharmed, but behind Ahai, strong currents of electricity were still flickering, and the ground cracked like a spider's web. Yi's body began to change, with pieces of dark blue scales gradually covering his face, his mouth now brimming with destructive energy. Lu Qingzhu felt an overwhelming sense of danger and thought to herself, what's happening? Yi's beast form seemed to be gathering power, the spine on his back raised, seemingly accumulating immense energy. This energy slowly transferred into Ahai's mouth, until his entire back spine shone with blue light. In that instant, he unleashed a beam of atomic energy, radiating an aura of destruction. Lu Qingzhu saw the powerful attack heading toward her, and decisively folded her wings, tightly wrapping herself up. The next second, the terrifying wave of energy engulfed her in an instant. The bloodline power of the Nether Phoenix was activated by Lu Qingzhu in this life-or-death moment. Countless black feathers flickered, reflecting light like crystals, as the blue particle beams collided with the purple-black feathers. It was as if they were reflected by mirrors, with a thick, concentrated beam of light being refracted in several smaller beams by the feathers. The light radiated outward from the black sphere that Lu Qingzhu had turned into, reflecting in all directions. Just as it seemed the light was about to shoot off the arena, the examiners tried to stop it, but they were too late. At that moment, a golden weapon enveloped the entire arena. He froze. What the hell is this? A terrorist attack?